AITAH for cutting my sister off after she made fun of my miscarriage and committed a felony. The title says it all. This is a doozy, at least to me. My sister is 22, and I'm 28. There's so much backstory, but I'm going to try and move quickly. TLDR, my sister has been lying, stealing, and manipulating for 4 years, called out my miscarriage but is mad at me for cutting her off. I'll call my sister C. I'll call her boyfriend A. C is the baby of 4 siblings and has always been a little self-centered. 4 years ago, C met a guy, A, and still is no good for her. She started having sex in my parents' house after they asked her multiple times not to. My parents then told her she was not allowed to see her for a while. I told her he wasn't going to wait around for her to be ungrounded. This made her crazy. She started attacking my parents and calling them names. She hit my mum multiple times, and I'll be honest, my mum hit back. She would tell my father, who raised her from the age of 3, that he wasn't her father. Anything nasty she could think of, anything she could do to turn my parents against each other, C was doing. If my parents were distracted, she could go see her without my parents intervening. C's behavior continued to escalate so that she could keep A. She was leaving her job early, calling out days, and sneaking around. She has since lost 4 jobs due to this behavior, running away in the nighttime. Literally. Leaving behind shoes and phone just to get to his house. Telling my family my parents were abusing her. My parents and C then seemed to bury the hatchet and tried to keep moving on despite everything that had happened. In the meantime, I got engaged. My wedding planning was fun. A lot of checks were flying around during this time. After the dust settled, my grandparents started to notice money they had not authorized leaving their account. Particularly during the wedding planning, they assumed it was a wayward, drug addict cousin who must have swiped a card from their wallet. They reported it immediately to the bank, and then from there investigations started. The more they investigated, the more came out. The bank referred my grandparents to the local police, who then referred the case to the FBI. They had lost a lot of money in medium installments over the course of a year. Somehow the bank was able to provide check receipts. Those checks that were written had my mother's name and my father's and my grandparents' name on them. My grandmother confronted my parents and they provided handwriting samples. The handwriting samples didn't match, but it didn't matter. BC, the FBI is good at what they do. They knew almost right away it was C. They called her in and questioned her. She vehemently denied everything. They called her in a second time and told her they knew it was her, but they would give her one more chance to be honest. She drove straight to my grandparents' house and confessed everything. She had swiped a checkbook and started going on shopping sprees, buying a car, buying Lizzo tickets and other things for friends, and spoiling A. C wrote my parents' names so avoid suspicion. My grandparents immediately decided not to press charges. FBI and police could do nothing if my grandparents didn't press charges. Overall, C stole over $25,000. My grandparents begged the family to move on, and I was the first to try. I tried to move on and have C's back. I specifically said we can't live in this moment forever, but it's been hard for C and the rest of my family to move past it, especially because C had no remorse. While this is all happening, my husband and I got pregnant and lost the baby. I was devastated. My sister rushed to my side, brought me a basket of care items. And to bring a long story to a close, we had a fight at a city event. She brought up family issues in front of her friends to get a laugh, and I was unable to let it go. She tried to slap me, and in my anger I tried to slap her back. My husband grabbed my hand before I could. Cops were present at the city event, and 2 saw. They separated us and made her leave the event. While she was leaving, she screamed at me that I was a fat ass and to call her when I could actually have a baby. Then said I was dead to her. I messaged her 2 days later and apologized for the things I said, and she apologized too. After that, she sent a message to my mother saying she was done with me and that we aren't close anymore. Childishly, I blocked her on everything and haven't spoken to her in 2 months. She's now complaining that I'm done with her and that I'm selfish. If you're still with me, my question is this: am I wrong for cutting her off? I had her back so many times and she spit in my face. I was with her when she committed a felony, but poking fun at me having a miscarriage. The most painful thing I've ever heard out of her mouth. But she's obviously in some mental trouble. A is also very verbally abusive towards her, and she's twisted up trying to stay with him. Should I forgive and try and still be there for her? Or cut her off and try and find peace?